Darkcast Network. Out of the shadows comes the best of indie podcasts.
Welcome to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic as fuck. And the cats are a little crazy sometimes.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Moana.
I'm Kelsey.
It's not take two. You don't need to know that. It's just the very first time we hit record. It's fine. It's fine. And
Yeah.
episode 113. Ooh.
114.
Damn it. I just looked at my notes too.
I know.
I thought I said 113 before, but apparently I can't even read.
No, you even told me it's episode 114. I was like, yeah, you're right.
Oh, I said 14. 14
Yeah.
teen. Okay.
Yeah.
It is. That's a good episode.
Yeah.
My birthday's on a 14. I love it. But this is your last episode from us before a little mini hiatus, so we hope you enjoy. I think it's going to be a fun one, and I thought last one was also very much some fun and stuff that we like to talk about.
Yeah.
That was
Enjoyed
good.
it.
Back to our conspiracy theory bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pardon me. Oh, hell yeah. Love them conspiracies.
Conspiracy.
Conspiracy. Yes, and your write-up was cute. I was like, oh,
Aw,
good description.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, and then, we'll be cooking up some fun things for you guys, but we're going to leave you with this little double header of crimes of international waters.
Yeah. Should be an interesting one.
Oh my god.
Dun, 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 dun.
The cases, you can dive into rabbit holes as deep as the ocean. There's so many to choose from.
Yeah.
My short list was 10 cases. It was basically the whole listicle I was reading. Like I just was like jotting down the general okay, like a little note about like this one's a disappearance, or this one's a possible murder, or this one's a this, and it's on this cruise ship. And then I was like, how do I choose? As if like we would never do another, episode like this. Like I have to do like all of them. I don't know why it's so hard for me. But I eventually settled, so.
It can be really hard to narrow it down to one, and sometimes it is unfortunate because the one you really want to do, there isn't enough sometimes to do a whole segment about, but that's one you'd be most interested in doing. So you end up doing a different one instead because you can find a bit more information about it. So
that's true. Yeah, it's almost like what do you call that? Is that like a catch-22 or something? Because it kind of keeps it perpetuating, where if there's not enough on it, then people might not cover it. Yeah, it can be hard for sure. I'm always impressed when people do like really good research. If I hear someone say like, oh, and then I received the court documents or something, like where they actually like requested it. I'm like, good for you. I'm like, I feel like, would I even have the time or forethought to do that? Like, I don't know. I haven't. And then
I know Crimes and Consequences, they do that. Almost all of their episodes are from like a book. They'll get their information from somebody that was involved. Cool. Or it'll be from court transcripts that they like sent in through like Public Information Act or whatever, sent in like filled out forms to get all the pictures, all the court transcripts, all the case files, all the autopsies. It's crazy.
I know,
but they work on episodes for a long time, sometimes like 6 months in advance. So
right. And then we were thinking, okay, if we can get a little bit further ahead, then we'll have a little bit more time to take those kind of steps, where if we want to look into it further, like we'll maybe have the time, or we can say, okay, well, we'll switch that episode around or whatever. Yeah, it's very impressive. I love a good researcher or whatever, where you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I can tell you read a book or what have
Mm-hmm.
you. And then
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I'll hear people say like that it's hard to find stuff on cases in Canada or Australia or places outside
Yeah.
of the US. I've heard the American podcasters say that a couple
I
times, and I
think
was
we
like,
just
oh.
I think sometimes our stuff just doesn't it'll say information, but either there's no follow-up other than the initial stuff,
Yeah,
or it's hard to get the person's name. It'll just say like a man or a woman was involved in this.
yeah, true. Due to maybe different
Yeah.
laws, and so you just get a lot of headlines and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What can you do? We can't all be Florida, who has like the problem with the Florida man or whatever that I heard was that they just had a little bit of a different state law than others, where it's like, oh yeah, they're allowed to publish, kind of the names of any petty criminal, I think. So that's why it just all gets out there. You're
Yeah.
like, wow, Florida, but maybe it
Oh,
just
yeah.
seems like
There's
there's more because they're like more published or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that stuff I feel like probably just doesn't get reported in other places to news media
Yeah,
as much as it does seem to be in from Florida. But
right. If
it's
that
great.
shit's
I
not
love that whole.
salacious, yeah, it's
Yeah,
not going to
so
sell.
fun.
People aren't going to click on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Like a
But
man
doesn't
from
mean
Vermont. No,
oh, man.
doesn't have the
Through
same ring to it.
no, and he doesn't usually throw a gator into a Wendy's drive-through window either,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah. We're selling
That'd be
chicken
fun.
nuggets that look like manatees. That was one of mine.
Petty crimes are fun. Yeah, those can be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah, yeah, we can do more of those if you guys want. Maybe we'll do some more on Patreon.
Yeah, let us know. But
Petty crimes, petty crimes. Yeah, there's so many. Like I went looking at, well, I can do cruise ship crimes because there are like almost always out in
yeah.
international waters, and there's so many of those to choose from. I almost find them as fascinating as like planes that get disappeared and
Yeah.
stuff. I don't know what it is. Something about being on the water or being in the air and then you're missing, you're dead or whatever. It's just like it's very freaky to me. I don't know.
I think it's just the thing about it being on water is that you are probably just disappearing because there's no
Mhm.
somebody walked and then put their thumb up and hitchhiked down the highway and then disappeared forever. It's like you're in the middle of nowhere and all that's around is one thing
Yeah.
and somehow you disappeared.
You didn't
Like
catch a
there's
little
just no.
current and ride your little
Yeah.
piece of driftwood to safety. Oh,
Yeah, it
yeah.
just yeah, so it's like what are the circumstances of that? But
Mhm.
doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I just saw something, what was it? It was a guy and a dog or something maybe. I just saw it on headline saying he had survived out on open sea for like 50 some days.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember. I saw headlines. I think it was on Google News
Holy shit.
um
So just
about
recently
it.
then.
Yeah, he was just rescued, I think, within the last couple days, and he was
Wow.
gone for 50 some days, and it was him and like some animal, like whether it was his pet, maybe a dog or something. But
Oh my
yeah,
God. His pet
it was
tiger.
crazy.
No, it's the Tiger
Yeah.
King version of the what's the Life of Pi? Is that the one where he gets like
Yeah.
shipwrecked with a tiger? Oh my God, like yeah, anything to do with it. Shipwrecked crimes. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
people lost at sea or the ones they make into movies, yeah, where they survive at sea and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
like, what the hell? So crazy. Yeah, everybody's got a pretty healthy fear of the deep ocean, I would say.
Yeah. Like there really is nowhere you can do. Like especially if you
Yeah.
can't swim, you're kind of fucked.
Ooh. Especially if you're out in near Point Nemo or wherever it was that was the farthest from land. in the middle of the ocean.
I mean, like fucking sharks. Like the
where
Jaws
they heard the bloop.
Bloop. Yeah. Oh no. I don't like it. I can't even swim in a lake because, like, I can't see if stuff is near me or under me, let alone being stuck in the fucking ocean.
Lakes. Yes, they can be worse to me because they can be a lot darker. You're gonna swim in the ocean, like if you're not going out onto a boat and diving, like you're coming in from the shore. It's a lot clearer. Like I don't want ocean swimming to get a bad rap. I love like going to the Maritimes and like
just how
swimming
deep
on the
it is.
beach.
Like you wouldn't be able to tell like
Yes.
something coming up. Just whoop. Jaws
yeah,
style.
like totally like black water. Oh my god, just terrifying. Don't put me into it. I don't want it.
Okay. Which is funny because at the same time I do eventually want to somehow like figure out scuba diving if I am able to get certified, and then so I could go swimming with sharks. But I'm afraid of fucking sharks. But just big ones that would eat me. Not the little ones. The little ones I would totally
there's little ones people
with.
swim with all the time.
Yeah, I want to do that.
That's awesome.
I feel like I would like that.
It's like a big
Jaws. Jaws coming up from me from below and just whoop, and I'm gone. Like a little sea otter or something in the water. No. Yeah.
Statistically, I don't know. I was gonna say, will an otter be more likely to kill you? But there's a lot of animals you're more likely to die by than sharks. Poor sharks.
Probably hippos, I think. Isn't it hippos kill more people than...
What about mosquitoes? Yeah, I think maybe even like cows. Yeah. I don't know. There's freak accidents, but like there's a lot of animals that...
Yeah, don't be cow tipping.
I'm just saying, you're probably more likely to die by like car accident than shark attack, or like you ever hear where like
horse, like
or
they're
like
off of horses,
or a vending machine is more likely to like fall on you. Or something.
Well, that's because you're gonna box with it because it took your quarter.
Oh my god, like, Karen used to do that we worked with.
Yeah,
nice. She's a nice Karen, but she's a little bit crazy too. No, you're just gonna shake it.
Yeah, she's the first one. My god. She's like, careful, the one leg is shorter, it'll tip too far. Like, oh my god.
This is a liability.
There was all these post-it notes being like, the vending machine owes me $2, and then the person's name.
I know, it always ate your money. It's true.
Yeah,
it's true.
It's awful.
I'm only a liability when I walk around our very deserted parking lot reading my book. Yeah. I'm like, I can see where I'm going.
Oh gosh.
They're like, if you trip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Distracted walking.
I've never walked into anybody like those people that are like looking at their phone like, nah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know what's
but people. Yeah. Oh, too funny. Well, hopefully we were supposed to go see it last weekend, I know, but gonna go see that Insidious tomorrow. Nice. I'll have to let you know.
Yeah, we're doing my brother's one. Yeah, we're doing my brother's birthday tomorrow, and then on Sunday, we are doing, or I'm doing my like work. We do a summer huge party where they invite all the employees, and they're doing a big food truck coming out, and then it's carnival themed, so they have a whole bunch of games, and there's supposed to be surprises going on that only the managers know about, so it might be something really embarrassing they're gonna do, like
really nice
dressing up like ridiculous, or I don't know, sometimes they do fun stuff, so
right, like pies to the face. I think Russ's work did that one.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And then on Monday, me and a friend from work are gonna go see the Barbie movie. We aren't doing Barbenheimer, but we are just doing Barbie. But
wait, what? I've heard about the Barbie a lot, and I've heard a little bit about Oppenheimer, but not a lot.
Yeah. Because they both open tonight, so there's people that bought tickets to both, and there was kind of all these arguments about which one do you watch first.
Okay.
And stuff. You're like, do you want to end on like a happy note with Barbie, or do you want to start with that and then go into like a sad movie?
Wait, Barbie's gonna be happy? Oh, spoiler alert. I don't even know what the plot's gonna be for that. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so we're gonna go see Barbie maybe on Monday, and we're both gonna dress up. Me just a little bit. It's all stuff I already own.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Then, yeah, so I have a busy few days coming up.
No, that's fun. And that carnival theme reminded me that I heard about on a podcast, of course, that you can go to something called a beer or a barcade. Someone was going to a barcade. Oh, Christine from And That's Why We Drink. I think she was going there for like a birthday. And I was like, what the fuck is a barcade? And I was like, do we have them here? And I Googled it. And we have a beercade in Edmonton that has like, like some of those bars that has like, maybe some arcade games or some skee ball and some like video games or something. And I was like, ooh, that sounds fun. We should go.
Cool. Yeah. That'd be
fun.
I've
only been to like one like that here before. I had just karaoke and like, I don't know, like Deer Hunter and those like VLTs or those little screens, but I don't think it had anything much more than that. Yeah, we had a bar back home that had a little foosball table. I don't know, it was kind of cute.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Date night. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, what are you telling us about today?
I have okay, so it's a little bit on the shorter side for me. So this was about all the information I could really dig up.
Yeah.
But it's going into the disappearance of Isabella Hellman.
Disappearance of. Okay.
Yeah.
God damn. This is gonna be a twisty mystery episode, I think.
It's not too bad, not considering some of the international waters ones.
Oh yeah.
But
I'm sure there's some crazy ones.
Yeah. So her husband, Lewis Bennett, is 41. I think, yeah, she's also 41. They're both 41. Lewis was a mining engineer in South Florida when he met and then later married Isabella Hellman, who was a former realtor. I don't think she was still working as a realtor at this time, but she was a former realtor. Cool. And this was about February 2017. They had gotten married. And Lewis himself was originally from Dorset, England, while Isabella was Colombian.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that name, Isabella, I love it.
It's a beautiful name. It's great.
Totally.
Timeless. Like,
you can call her Bella.
You can call her Izzy.
It's true.
So cute.
I love Izzy in Shadowhunters. She's a cool character.
Yeah.
She's got her Electrum whip or whatever.
Yeah. I always forget about Shadowhunters.
I don't know. Didn't you get me reading those books? Anyway, no.
Well, I had read them. I was reading them when they very, very first came out.
Okay.
Like the first two, I think, were out when I started reading it in like middle school or something. And then
oh wow.
I think you might have read a couple of them because by that point by the time I moved out, I had already gotten rid of my copies. Like I didn't even have my copies anymore.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's not like I would have even been able to lend them to you to read or anything. I think I only had the first 3 books.
Yeah, I just get attracted to those kind of book covers at the bookstores.
Yeah, they're so metallic and shiny. It's great. And then they got like all these swirly tattoos. It's very
there's usually
flashy,
like
YA
not really romance
covers.
novel. Yeah. There'll be like a lady in a flowy dress, or someone's flowing, their hair's floating. Yeah. A chain of silvery thorns. I'm like, ooh, what's that about?
Yeah, so Isabella and Lewis, they have been living together in Isabella's home in Delray Beach, Florida. And together they had a 9-month-old daughter by the time they had gotten married. Yeah.
Cute.
So I'm not sure how, but they did end up owning or were at least renting or something a catamaran, like one of those boats.
Oh.
Yeah.
They're kind of sleek little yacht-like small boat or something. Yeah.
The only ones I've been on were like bigger, to hold like 30 people. So I can't really judge what like a smaller one is supposed to look like. I might be able to find a better picture to look it up and put it on the website with it. But they had a 37 to 40 foot catamaran that they had either like owned or were taking out. I think they owned it because it said their boat was called Surf Into Summer.
Okay. Not Isabella. Gosh.
No.
I missed opportunity.
They were taking it out on a belated honeymoon on this little sailing trip around the Caribbean. Kind of in the early spring, probably going into the summer of 2017. And this was about 3 months after their wedding had taken place. So pretty quick. Yeah. Lewis told investigators that he and Isabella had left from the Caribbean island of Saint Martin in April of 2017. And then over the course of a few weeks, they arrived in Cuba and they spent a day or so in Cuba before they were supposed to be setting back to Florida. And they were going to be leaving for Florida again on May 17th of 2017. So they've been at sea for like almost 3 weeks or so at this point.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it sounds like kind of Eastern they left in Caribbean area.
Yeah, they left in I think sometime in April, and now this is like over halfway through May. So it's been at least 3 weeks or so. And Lewis says that they plan to sail to either Key West or Fort Lauderdale. They were gonna be like arriving there. They were gonna dock there, and I think end their trip. So it was on the way going back to there that at about 8 p.m. Lewis says that he set the autopilot on the vessel and had told Isabella to take watch on deck while he went below deck to go to sleep in the cabin.
He put that shit on cruise control, as they'd say on Creeps and Crimes.
Yeah, he did.
They always go, if you're driving, put that shit on cruise control. If you're, what was it? If you're not if you're drinking, pour that shit up. Let's get creepy. Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that boats really had that, but I guess.
I think it just sets like the steering so that it won't move. It just keeps it on a straight path. I think that's all it really does.
Okay. And maybe
probably like speed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a few hours later. Lewis says a few hours later, Lewis ended up being rescued. At this point, he was now alone on a life raft. And he ended up having to be rescued from international waters near the Bahamas, where he by himself was helicoptered back to Florida. And
so instead of Rose being left on the door, we have the man clinging.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Clinging to the life raft.
Right. Crazy.
So Lewis, his side of the story is that after he went to sleep below deck, he was woken up by a quote crashing underneath a few hours later. So he's trying to say like they hit something in international waters. And that when he went back up top, he noticed that the sails and the rigging on the vessel were loose and that he couldn't find Isabella anywhere. She wasn't on the boat anymore.
Interesting. I see. I thought at first when you said crashing, like, something like furniture or plates or something like that. Not like
no, this is like something underneath they hit.
Right.
He's trying to say, yeah,
like I can almost hear like a crunching noise too, almost.
Yeah.
Right? It's like something's not right.
Yeah. He noticed that at this point that the catamaran was taking on water and like sinking. So he gathered some of his personal belongings, which included unused parachute flares, water, a tea set, because that's very important when you're sinking. Get your fucking tea set.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a family heirloom. I don't fucking know. I thought it was strange.
Oh my god. His fine china.
Yeah. And he also manages to get out 9 plastic tubes that contained all these silver coins, which we'll get to.
What? Okay.
Yeah. So he's got all 9 of these plastic tubes filled with coin. He's got parachute flares that were never used to signal for help. He's got water and a tea set. That's all the important things in his life.
Just like
Fuck
on
his
a
wife.
Raft with him.
Yeah, on a raft with him. So he abandons the ship, jumps into this life raft with those items. He cuts the tether between the raft and the sinking catamaran, and then basically kind of floats in that area waiting to be rescued. He also has a satellite phone. Sorry, I didn't mention that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I kind of jump around a little bit. So in this, 4 days after Isabella's disappearance, the Coast Guard at this point ended up calling off any search efforts to find her. And by this point, Lewis started to raise suspicions because he was now asking the Coast Guard for what's called the letter of presumed death. He was really pushing them for it. Yeah.
Oh no. Not a good look.
Yeah, it was kind of really weird. And investigators determined, in speaking with him and stuff, that Lewis was a pretty experienced sailor, and he was trained on a lot of emergency procedures, while Isabella was very, like, a lot less experienced and probably didn't know many emergency procedures.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they obviously got separated somehow in the melee.
Yeah, something happened. So Lewis told investigators that he had asked Isabella, as I said, to stand watch over the boat while he went underneath to sleep. And he noted at this time that Isabella had not been wearing a life jacket, any sort of harness, and she wasn't wearing a GPS locator either.
Was she supposed
which
to be?
I guess that's like a thing, like probably should have been wearing at least a life jacket or harness or a GPS locator.
Well, and if she's not as comfortable manning the ship, so to speak, maybe he should be a little bit more cautious. I'm just wondering.
I'm not sure what because at this point they've been at sea for 3 weeks, so maybe there had been multiple nights they had done this, and this was kind of their routine, and everything had been fine. I don't really know.
Because you never know what's going to happen. Like,
yeah. So during questioning on May 23rd, so this would be 14 days. Yeah, 16 days after her disappearance. No, 6 days. Sorry, 6 days after her disappearance.
Okay, yeah. I was like, wait, wasn't it the 17th?
No.
Which is like one of my favorite numbers.
Apparently. 6 days. 3 plus 3 is 6. Lewis told investigators that he actually hadn't taken any effort to try and find Isabella in the water. Instead, he had like gathered his belongings, including this satellite phone that he had used to call weirdly one of Isabella's sisters and leave her a voicemail telling her that Isabella had disappeared at sea.
Oh, right away, buddy. Really?
Yeah.
And then he's more concerned about finding a so-called like proof of death thingy or whatever instead
like
of
4 days later
looking for actual proof of life.
Yeah.
Which I would still be holding out hope for, I would think.
Right?
Like, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's not great. Red flag.
Yeah. He had then called, so after he called Isabella's sister and left this voicemail saying Isabella had disappeared, he then calls a friend that he has that lives in Australia, and he asked them to call and contact the US Coast Guard on his behalf. Which is strange because he has a satellite phone. Like he could presumably call, but he wants somebody to call on his behalf from Australia.
Okay. Like when people call someone else before they call 911, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like, what should I do? So the next few days pass. May 28th, just days after getting back home to Florida, Lewis and the couple's 9-month-old daughter, because she wasn't with them, like, on this trip. I presume it was just him and her.
Okay.
So
Oh.
I'm
Oh,
maybe her
right. Yeah.
family, was looking after the
Oh, I hope
daughter in
so.
Florida.
Yeah.
So he goes back to Florida, and it's just a few days after he gets back that he ends up flying him and his daughter to visit his family and stay with them in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah. So he
Hmm.
fucking flies out of the country, like from the US into fucking
Yeah.
UK, while your wife is missing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Interesting.
Around this time, Isabella's family had started to tell investigators and reporters that the couple had had a fairly brief but troubled relationship. They had been together
Ooh.
at least 9 months because their daughter's 9 months, but I'm not sure how long they were together before that.
I
Uh,
can sort of relate. I mean,
yeah,
sometimes it happens kind of quickly into the relationship,
yeah,
but doesn't necessarily mean anything good or bad. But okay, interesting.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Isabella's family, in a couple sources I read, they claimed that they had actually bugged the couple's apartment in
Oh, what?
Florida following Isabella's disappearance because they believed that Lewis was involved. I didn't really talk about if they
What?
got any information from that, but they had somehow managed to bug the apartment to like eavesdrop on him.
Oh, I wonder if they had
Yeah.
a private investigator. Yeah,
I don't know, yeah, it was a little strange. But the
sounds a little
police and
illegal,
yeah.
just a bit.
Um on the police side, like their investigations revealed some texts between the couple saying that Isabella felt that Lewis didn't really respect her anymore and just in general called
Oh,
him or described him to be a very angry person. Um
okay. I mean, can you
yeah.
imagine your dad now? Someone's looking through your texts. I've
Yeah, right?
certainly text argued with my spouse before.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's almost easier than talking face to face when you can be really heated, I find,
Yeah.
but so that's oh, that would suck because then you have to like they're
Uh
all being scrutinized over with a fine tooth
yeah.
comb. Okay.
Um I don't know if it was in text or what, but they also said that she had said that she was afraid to get home, like maybe arrive home from something that was going on.
Oh.
And months before her disappearance, she had wrote or texted, quote, "If you don't like me or love me anymore, let us fix this ASAP because it's
Oh.
very pathetic the way you treated me all the time."
Oh.
Yeah, it makes me
Okay.
really sad.
Yeah,
Um
obviously she feels disrespected or something.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was noted that the couple had often fought over was mentioned to be a possible move to Australia. Like maybe it was something they talked about, or
Oh.
maybe something he wanted to do and she didn't. But they were fighting about this. Um, and then they had also fought about finances and money and also
Oh,
raising their
sure.
daughter. So
That's common stuff,
yeah.
definitely. I mean, who hasn't fought at least once about money or how to raise,
Yeah.
your kid in one aspect or another? So, oh, yeah, I can certainly empathize.
So at some point, I'm not sure when, but the FBI had become involved in investigating and searching for Isabella.
Okay.
um, they started digging through um, these photos and videos of the sinking catamaran that was actually taken by the U.S. Coast Guard before it fully sunk.
Really?
I don't know if they actually were able to recover it or anything, but they had this that they were able to analyze. The FBI was.
Huh.
And they
Interesting.
determined that Lewis's story couldn't really be true.
Okay.
Um, yeah. So
I mean,
there's
I'm
a
not surprised, I guess.
yeah, right.
But tell me why.
Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, some peculiar things they point out as to why.
Oh
This is
dear.
what they said, quote, "Based on the analysis, it does not appear the vessel sinking was caused by accidental damage. Rather, it appears the vessel was intentionally scuttled." End quote. That
Ooh,
was an
shit.
associate professor of nautical architecture and ocean
What?
engineering. Yeah, I didn't know there
Holy
was something
fuck.
as nautical architecture. That
Fancy
architecture's
title.
nautical, man. Um,
Sounds like a smart dude.
yeah, yeah, nautical architecture and ocean engineering at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy. This is what he
Wow.
stated in court records. They had also stated that the catamaran's two escape hatch portholes that actually sit below the waterline were inexplicably opened to let water inside the catamaran.
Yeah,
And
that'll do it. Let me
yeah,
just
right?
open up a couple holes here.
Yeah.
Um,
A shark did it. A shark like used its thumbs and like opened the
iceberg,
porthole.
right ahead.
Yeah. Um and then there was also these two holes that could be seen in videos, and I think in the some of the pictures. These videos are like, I call it like a slash almost. It looks like it's like really cut. Um
Oh,
it was in each hull and they were almost identical, and it said that they were determined to be made from inside the boat, not an object
what?
that it could have caused it from outside.
That is
Uh,
so crazy. Because the way they
yeah.
can tell if someone broke a window inward or outward from the house. Like, of course, they'd be able to tell if you put I don't know, a knife.
Yeah.
What's going to cut through metal? Something. Then the metal's going to poke out on the other side,
Yeah,
not
exactly. Or the
inward.
glass will like go that way. But if
Like,
you
does
look
he
at
think that no one's
pictures,
just going to ever check that?
if you do look
Anyway.
at pictures on the drive,
Yes.
yeah, which one is it? Episode. Picture 5 actually shows this quote unquote hole, but I call it like a huge slash. Um,
The hole in the hull?
yeah,
Okay.
the hole in the
Oh,
hull. Like they're
okay.
big. It's huge, and there's one in each hull of the catamaran.
Oh,
Like it's
that's a
crazy.
full on
Yeah,
side
it's
of
like
the
a
ship
huge
vagina.
slash. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a
Yeah.
huge slash. It's probably almost a foot long. Like it's giant.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, almost teardrop shaped, like that
Yeah.
elongated oval, like even
Yeah.
wider than I thought it would be actually.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
crazy. Um,
Wow.
Another quote from them saying, I cannot think of any item that would accidentally cause similar holes in both hulls at roughly the same time. Like to make this like hi Gordo. To make these. I think there's only pictures of like one
Really?
because it was kind of as it was sinking, but yeah, there was apparently two
I
of
can't
them.
believe
They were
I got
almost
a picture
identical.
of it. Yeah, you're right. It's still on top of the water.
Yeah.
But as if yeah, the hull's not supposed to be like pointing upwards or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely on its side slash on its bottom. Oh my gosh, yes, there's another one that
Yeah.
shows that
And you can
exists.
see
That looks like a
the
smaller
little
vehicle. It looks like an orca. No,
yeah,
sorry.
kind
Like
of.
the blue on dark blue on top and the white on bottom.
Uh, yeah, and then the other picture is like the little life
Yeah.
raft thing that he was in. Yeah.
Oh wow, really? Okay, yeah. That must
Yeah,
look.
but pretty crazy looking at that like cut that was made on the side. It's yeah.
Ew, I
And
hate
there's
pictures of fish. Oh, when their boats are capsizing. Oh, it just sends
oh
shivers down
yeah.
my spine. How did they get
Oh
one of those? Almost look like there's a raft. Okay, so he's in the raft. I think I just saw. Maybe the Coast Guard's taking the picture from behind him, and then you can see him in the raft in the forefront, and then further in the background, the yacht's like just barely going under the water, or the catamaran. Because that's a really weird. That's the number 4 picture.
the
The
number
photos
4
that
picture is the Coast Guard, like just
oh,
taking the
they're
video of
taking
it as it was
oh, they're
sinking. So
on the Coast Guard boat taking the video.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's
'Cause
them taking that one. And I think
oh, I
that's
hate
how they
that
got those.
picture.
I think that's how they got the pictures and the video of the cut and everything was as they were pulling
Ew.
up to it, they were like filming it.
Yes, and then there's also
Um
a boat in the background. Okay, I hate that
yeah.
picture. It's very eerie. It's just something
Um
going right under. I don't like it.
yeah. So the case gets a little weirder too. There isn't much information about this, but I had mentioned
Really?
those 9 like plastic cylinders of coins that Lewis seemed very intent to rescue.
Yeah, what's
Uh
that about?
yeah, so these coins that he was trying to save or did save were valued at almost $40,000, and they
What
were
the
all
fuck?
these
What are you doing on the boat with them? Sorry.
yeah,
That's
um
weird.
they're all these antique coins that he had actually stolen from his previous employer a year
Oh
earlier.
my god.
It said he may have been working on a boat in the Caribbean or something. Didn't couldn't really confirm that. But anyway, he had stole these
Okay.
coins from like his employer.
Okay,
And
possibly on another boat or something in the
yeah,
Caribbean, maybe. Okay.
and
Wow. What a
um
bad boy.
right? Based on this information, they actually arrested Lewis for that to put him kind
Oh.
of in jail. So he was
Okay.
arrested and charged with transportation of stolen gold and silver coins. This was in August of 2017.
Hmm.
And they ended up arresting him when he returned to South Florida um, for an interview on his insurance claim. I don't really know. Maybe it was to do with the boat or something to do with Isabella, but when he appeared
Oh,
back in Florida
yeah.
from the UK, they like arrested him for this transportation charges. I think while they
Oh,
kept working on the case.
that
Um,
sounds like they maybe arranged it like that so that they
yeah.
could capture him. Nice.
Uh, so Lewis ends up going to trial for the coin theft, and he ends up pleading guilty to the coin transportation charges on February 16th while he's in Florida, and he's sentenced to 7 months in jail for that. And
Okay. Slap on the
it's
wrist,
pretty
sort of.
much, yeah, it's pretty much immediately after he pleads guilty and is like sentenced for that, that I think it's while he's still in the courthouse that day, they then immediately arrest him and charge him with second-degree murder.
Whoa. They
Yeah,
were like, shit, we gotta go now. Because he's
yeah, like I
gonna
don't even think they
about.
let him leave the building or anything, honestly.
Well, because maybe
Um,
he would have been out on bail then, or would he have, I wonder,
maybe
have started his sentence right away for the 7 month thing? Hmm.
I have no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, so they charge him with second degree murder after the FBI investigation at this time was basically concluded. And
Okay.
yeah, he weirdly ended up being arrested the same day that Isabella's family had actually sent a letter to a federal judge complaining that he had been keeping them away from the couple's daughter. I think by him keeping her in the UK, they like hadn't seen her since Isabella had disappeared. They hadn't seen their like granddaughter.
Oh,
So
their granddaughter. Okay, sorry.
yeah,
I was like, wait, can't nobody see her because she's disappeared? I get you now, I think. They were upset they hadn't seen their granddaughter in a while because
yeah,
since Isabella disappeared. Okay. Oh.
yeah, because he's keeping her out of the country basically with his family.
Right, because he didn't want to get persecuted for
Yeah,
his
yeah,
alleged
he had basically
crimes.
fled the country. Um,
Right. That's an innocent look.
yeah, just like
Boy,
11
oh.
days after your wife disappears on international waters, you just like fucking up and leave the country.
Did you say 11
Um,
days?
yeah, because it was
Oh.
on yeah May 17th, and him and the daughter flew to the UK on the 28th. Like fucking
Oh,
11 days.
weird.
Like
Oh, there's
stop.
just some parallels to my case already. Ooh, weird.
Uh,
Okay. No.
uh, So a quote from like her side of the family saying, "We don't want to say anything bad about Lewis, but we would like him to know
Okay.
how much it hurts us to not be able to see and spend time with our granddaughter and niece
Yeah.
Amelia, because her name's Amelia. That's such a cute name.
Oh.
Since
I
he
think
took her out of the country."
sorry. The one time I was in like this it's a quick anecdote. Drama camp and there one of the lines in the play we had to do was like, "We're gonna call her Amelia." And like
Oh,
I would just, kind of say it for a time afterwards. So It's like an inside joke in my family almost.
Nice.
But I think it's a beautiful name. I wasn't laughing
Yeah.
at that. Just something stupid.
Uh, yeah, the family wrote this in the letter that was obtained by ABC News. I think
Okay.
the letter continues saying Lewis knows that Isabella's mother was very involved in caring for Amelia from the time of her birth here in Florida until she was lost at sea. Uh,
Okay.
continue. Um, oh, this was from the next quote was from FBI Special Agent James Kelly, who
Ooh.
wrote in the criminal complaint. Quote, I respectfully submit that there is probable cause to believe that Lewis Richard Bennett knowingly and unlawfully killed Isabella Hellman with malice aforethought within the special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States. Dun, dun,
Oh my gosh. Because it was off the coast of the US still, right? At the time?
dun. Bahamas. They said they were the
Oh,
closest to the
right.
Bahamas, but I think technically he
Okay.
was rescued in international waters.
Oh, so
Yeah.
complicated. That's what makes these cases so crazy.
Yeah.
The jurisdiction is
Um,
just like up in the air.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Investigators suspected that Lewis had killed Isabella in order to collect on an insurance policy.
I mean, same.
Um, yeah. Also believed he may have done this to take sole possession of their combined assets, including bank accounts, and then a house that
Mm-hmm.
Isabella, like herself, seemed to own in Florida. Which I think they mean the
Oh,
one that the couple had been living in. It was her house, so he would get that
sure.
basically. Uh, it also They also presumably said that it would put an end to the couple's troubled relationship, like those arguments they may have been having.
Oh my God. Because people can
Um,
never get just divorced. They have to kill each other, right?
right? Fuck.
Isn't that always the way?
Um, Prosecutors, in kind of a totally separate thing, also alleged that she may have discovered that Lewis was in possession of all those stolen coins, and that once she had discovered this, that this led to her like death and disappearance. Because she might not have
Oh,
known about it,
yeah.
and maybe she found them on the catamaran after like 3 weeks and confronted him about it or something. So,
Right. Because else,
yeah,
why would it be all of a sudden just out of nowhere that he would
that's true. Yeah.
do this? Like, he didn't seem like a great guy, but didn't seem like he was super physically abusive from what I recall from what you said. So, yeah, it does seem a little,
Yeah, didn't seem like it, but
yeah, a lot of character.
um so prosecutors said, I think this was during court, quote, it was not until Lewis boarded the life raft that he even called for help and reported his wife missing approximately 45 minutes after he had already awakened and like discovered
Oh.
that she was missing. Um yeah, that's what the
Oh, so they
prosecutor
think
said.
they know like the specific times because of the
Yeah,
Coast
he
Guard
might
being
have
there?
said like when he woke up, maybe he let it slip what time he woke up and found her missing, and then
Maybe.
they could probably tell from this voicemail he left her sister being like, "Oh, like
Yeah,
he
the
didn't
first person he
call."
called, right? Yeah, that
Yeah,
was
it's leave a
weird.
voicemail and then call a friend in Australia and be like, "Can you call the Coast Guard on my behalf? I don't want to talk to them." Like that's a little weird.
I'm sorry, I don't even have anybody's actual fucking phone numbers if I don't
Yeah.
have my phone. Like, call Kelsey.
Yeah.
I don't know. What is her number? I'm calling
Yeah.
911. Like, I don't know.
Give me Kelsey's
Wow.
number, quick! It's an emergency.
Yes, patch me through to
So
Kelsey Anderson right away.
yeah. Yeah, so in court the second degree charges ended up being lowered to involuntary manslaughter after the prosecution. I don't really know how, but they somehow failed to prove that had intentionally sunk the boat, which kind of blows my mind because they talk about the portholes being
Really?
opened and the two like obvious cuts in the boat. I don't know. It says that they failed to
Wow.
prove he had done it intentionally.
I
Um,
mean, it's not your normal method of like
yeah.
murder, so perhaps it's just like something that so few people are would be like an expert on or know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that does seem crazy though, because you'd hear the experts testifying. I feel like I would be like, yeah, okay, he sunk it. Like, you know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. And what sticking up in international waters is gonna hit that and do that? Like, how big is
Yeah.
international waters that you fucking hit something? That's pretty intense.
Yeah, it's not an iceberg. I was just
Yeah.
joking earlier. Yeah, it would have to be like a
Yeah.
reef or a rock or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no icebergs in the Bahamas.
And
It's
it
too
didn't happen
warm.
to any other boat. Oh
Yeah.
my God. There was, I don't know why I thought of this, but there was one case that was a fucking mystery of these poor seals were getting found like slashed up, but they also looked like they'd been like, I don't know, it spiraled, it said.
Oh.
Like for a while, one of the theories was that they were getting caught up in boat propellers, but it was just like,
Okay.
that doesn't usually happen. Like that's rare, and like they were
Yeah.
turning up in droves and stuff. I forget what I was listening to, but I was
I think I
A,
heard of that too.
disgusted but fascinated because like I love seals, and I was like, what the fuck? And they didn't really have, yeah, a definitive answer at the end
Yeah.
that I recall. It was some weird. Well, maybe it probably was this, but it was like, really? Was it? You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, that shit is so weird. Okay, we'll cover it if you want.
Sure.
Seal stripping. Oh, I can't.
So Lewis ended up pleading guilty, pardon me, to the
Okay.
lesser charge of involuntary manslaughter in this like plea
Oh,
agreement they had reached.
sure, because they
Um,
couldn't get him for murder, so next best
yeah.
thing. All right.
Before the judge announced their decision and like sentencing, Lewis asked the judge, this is like so weird, but I feel like he's grasping at straws. He asked the judge to let him out of prison sooner so that he could continue to raise the couple's daughter, Amelia, who at this time, by the time of sentencing, she was almost 3. Um,
Okay, so he's just like, I'm a dad, let me out.
yeah, let me out
Okay.
early because I'm a dad.
Okay.
Um,
And I killed her mom, so now I'm her only parent.
yeah, basically.
Okay.
Feel
Cool.
sympathy for me. I killed her mom.
Oh, right?
Um,
Jesus.
yeah, so Amelia, who was almost 3, was still being raised by his parents in Scotland. Um, and
Aw.
he was quoted in court as saying, "If you may permit me to be with my daughter as soon as possible, I want to bring her up in a manner that is respectful to my wife's wishes." Like, fuck
Oh,
you.
gag me. Oh my
Isn't
God.
that awful? Like, just what a slap in the face. I want to bring her up
Probably
in a
the
way that's
least
respectful to my wife that I
sexy
murdered.
Scottish Scotsman I've ever seen.
Yeah. So
Disgusting.
Lewis Bennett, he ended up being sentenced to 8 years in prison and ended up receiving
Really?
another 3 years on like a supervised release. I think it might be like kind of like probationary kind of stuff.
Right, right. Halfway
He was,
house.
yeah, something like that. He was also ordered to pay $22,910 in restitution to their daughter Amelia. Don't know what that's about.
To
Sorry, I
his
killed your
own
mom. Here's
daughter.
$22,000.
I'm also
Yeah.
confused.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
yeah. Usually, you can see that like when there's a different victim
your
family than the
family.
perpetrator
Yeah.
family, but it's a little
Sorry, I
murkier
killed your
here.
mom, daughter. Here's 22,000. Fuck, jeez.
From the insurance settlement. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Oh,
It did also say he ended up choosing to waive his right to an appeal. So he
God.
waived
Okay.
that. Lewis ended up
Right.
apologizing to Isabella's family during his hearing, and they ended up responding, I think, to reporters later on that day that their hearts were broken and they were pretty bitter that the case had ended up in a plea charge of involuntary manslaughter instead of the second-degree murder. Which,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's a different I mean, charge obviously in jail time or whatever, but like amount of
yeah,
culpability too.
yeah.
It's like what did the one guy on the Oz prison show got that for, like, what, drunkenly hitting a kid with his car because he was driving drunk. It's like but you know what I mean, like, even that's more accidental than this, you know what I mean, in a way, like, this seems pretty premeditated, like, ugh.
Yeah, or at least set up. Like, she's not wearing a life vest, she doesn't have a GPS locator, she's not tethered to the boat, like...
Or, like, think about the Murdoch's murder case, where he was fucking drunk driving that boat, but also it resulted in someone dying, and they were like, slow the fuck down, and he wouldn't. Like, there's just so many different degrees of, like, culpability, I guess. It's pretty crazy that they call it, like, if I was the family, I'd be pissed if they called it involuntary manslaughter too. I'd want more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they were pretty upset, but her family members ended up telling reporters after sentencing that they did end up planning to visit Amelia in Scotland, like, the week after the trial. I couldn't find anything really later than the trial for information, so hopefully they have seen her multiple times since, like, 2017.
Yeah, still only 5 years ago, I guess. Yeah, maybe they're just keeping their privacy.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
There's a couple... Oh, this was, like, kind of a longer quote from Mitchell Kitroser, the attorney that was representing the Hellman family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think he was kind of saying this on their behalf. Quote, I think at this point, all we can do is hope that the visits will go forward. There will be a continuation of those so that Amelia grows up knowing that she has two families that love her. She's lost her mom, but that doesn't mean she's lost her mom's family. I think the ideal scenario would be to have both families participate in her life as she grows up so that she has as many people in her life to support her as possible. Which is good. Like,
oh, yeah. Yeah, because that would be very difficult to reconcile yourself with your dad and your dad's, at least you have your dad's family, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
but just awful. And just my last little thing was just that they did, I don't know how much they normally search for somebody who's lost on international waters, but for Isabella Hellman, her body has never ever been recovered. And they did end up searching 4,900 square miles. The Coast Guard searched. So that sounds pretty big to me. I don't know if that's typical for their searches, but yeah, no sign of her was ever recovered. Like, so they have no idea where it
That's
is.
what's so hard, is there's so much to search, and especially if you don't know the exact location. The same thing in my case. It's just like, you don't know where anything happened. Like, this is why people take this kind of opportunity to make people disappear.
Right? Yeah. Scary.
Ugh.
But
I love these cases so much.
Yeah, that's a case. On this one, it was kind of interesting to me, just what stuck out to me when I was reading this as opposed to some of the other ones. It was just the items that he got, that he grabbed to go on that life raft. It was like some water, a tea set, silver coins. What's even going
so
on
like
right now?
teapot, like, what does that mean? Teapot,
I think so.
I
like
can't think of the words right now. I was like, tea glasses, like, teacups.
Yeah, like teacups, maybe some saucers and a fucking teapot, but like, where's my wife? I don't know, but I have our china set.
Okay.
Like,
okay, hear me out. Okay, in the closet here, Rain got this, maybe my mom got it for her. I'll have to ask her, or when she catches up and listens to this, but I'll see her soon. So, like a kind of a miniature one, and they all just sit in a box. I'm holding it in my hands because it's not a big box, and then like almost like dollhouse size. Like, there's like a little pot and a little sugar thing and a couple of like little tiny teacups. Oh my god, what's wrong with me? But like, I'm like, other than that, how the hell is that going to not be bulky and an uncomfortable thing that you're just not going to take with you when you're leaving a sinking ship? thinking I'm going to try and hopefully grab my spouse faster than I grab all that and my ancient coins. But
yeah, those coins, like most sources said it was about $40,000 US, and a couple sources though said up to $100,000 US that they were worth.
People have killed for lesser life insurance policies, so
yeah.
Sounds like a motive to me.
Maybe she had found out about them and was like confronting him about it or something all of a sudden. That seems to be the only thing about like why after like 3 weeks at sea when you're that's the night basically you're supposed to be going home, like you're gonna be getting home in the next couple days that you suddenly
do
this. Like
yeah, or sometimes I think of like an accident where people are pushed to do things where like normally they would just exactly not get caught, so they wouldn't have to worry about it, but then something happens and he like freaks out and like accidentally hurts her or something, and then Bob's your uncle, she's overboard, and he's like,
it's just
sinking
really
the ship.
weird. Yeah, when they talked about the hole and stuff, and then when I was looking at pictures and I saw the picture of the hole, I was like, that's really weird. And it's on each side, and they're supposed to look almost identical, and it's like, what would cause that on each side at almost the exact same time? Because he said he heard a noise. Like, it's so weird.
You trying to park your boat in a compact boat spot. Both sides. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's nothing
on international
out in the middle
waters.
of the ocean.
Yeah. Like
dual synchronized shark biting.
No, sharks with pocket knives.
Sharks with freaking laser beams.
Oh my god. Laser beams, man.
That's my favorite bad guy. Dr. Evil.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's good. That was good. I don't know why. Yeah, these type of things give me like, what is it, Natalie Wood vibes? She was the actress, wasn't she? That was suspected to be killed by her husband or whatever, and then Christopher Walken was there. Because why not? But she probably took out a lifeboat in the middle of the night because, why wouldn't she? Yeah, it's all that stuff that's just so sketchy. And you're like,
they covered that one on BuzzFeed Unsolved. The true crime
that's a
ones
classic. Yeah. I mean, it's just, like we said, it's just kind of a really good way to get rid of people usually, unless the current's against you and you're in a place where they just wash back up. But, whatever.
I think if you're far enough away from land, they presumably will probably never wash back up. But you have to be pretty far out. You're not gonna canoe out that far and make it.
You didn't like, what did they do in Dexter where they're like all in the bay and they all get found at once because he just like weights them down or something?
Yeah, in like the same fucking spot.
Yeah.
Good job. All I ever wanted out of that show was what Masuka's reaction would be to finding out Dexter was a serial killer. And all they gave us,
the perv Joker of The Office.
And what they gave us, like, Angel kind of figures it out in the new season, and it's like
Batista, right?
Yeah, but presumably he would have fucking told Masuka, and all I wanted was on screen Masuka's reaction. Because I felt like that would be the craziest reaction, because he was over the top. Kind of like character.
I don't know if I do want that, though. I want my funny guys to be funny. I don't want them to be all, like, sad because they find out their friend's a killer. I think I'm like, maybe I'm good without it.
But, like, from day one, that's all I cared about in the show, was just, like, what his eventual reaction was gonna be, and we got, like, everybody's reaction except his.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Someone used a GIF the other day of Deborah, like, crying her eyes out and was like, I'm broken! And I was like, whoa, I remember that scene. That just was, like, almost triggering. Because it was like, we were just talking about the fucking motor vehicle system going down again. And then they posted, like, I'm broken. And she was, like, crying. And I'm like, I remember that. Isn't that where she confesses to Dexter that she's in love with him, even though he's her adopted stepbrother or whatever? Oh, my God. We could go on.
Yeah, I could have 100% done You know what?
Without
Just stop
that.
the weird stepbrother, stepsister weirdness.
Yeah.
Don't really like
I feel
it.
like it was unnecessary. I didn't love that storyline. I didn't love a
Yeah.
lot of people that fell in love with Dexter or whatever, though, because, I mean, he's a serial killer.
Yeah.
That's got to be a hard thing to manage. And then he gets with that one girl, Rita, but then she gets killed too. Spoiler.
Yeah.
So that's too bad, because he's like actually a really good dad when he puts some effort into it.
Yeah, when he's not being super socially awkward and just doesn't
Yeah.
understand.
That was the best
Yeah.
part about the reboot too, was his relationship with Harrison, and like Harrison
Yeah.
was so cool. But
Yeah.
anyway. Dexter.
We'll take a break and we'll be back with more international water crime.
Hell yeah, we will. I hope you're listening to this on an airplane.
Jesus.
Not over the ocean.
Not over the ocean.
Otherwise, what are you doing? Okay.
Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Hey there, Rainbow Warriors. I'm CJ, host of Beyond the Rainbow, True Crimes of the LGBT. My episodes focus on crimes committed by and against the LGBTQ community. I've covered cases you probably have heard of, such as Matthew Shepard, Brandon Tina, and the Orlando Pulse nightclub massacre, as well as some lesser-known cases like the murder of Ray Hainish, the Australian gay beat murders, and the suspicious disappearance of Lisa Lynn Stone. I cover cases brought to me by listeners like Penny Brummer, who I believe was wrongfully convicted, taboo cases such as lesbian corrective rape and murder in South Africa, and Pray the Gay Away camps. I discuss gay serial killers, women who pretend to be men to hook up with other women, and trans murders. I'm opinionated and uncensored. I know I'm not everyone's cup of tea, but surely I'm someone's shot at tequila. No matter what your gender or orientation in life might be, please join me as I tackle rainbow crimes in search of unicorn justice. Remember, it's not a crime to be gay, unless you're a murderer.
Welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that break and possibly a word from our independent podcaster friends. Maybe someday a word from our sponsors. It's future Alana. It's telling the truth. Okay, so this one you might not know. I didn't know if I knew it when I started researching it. And turns out I think I knew it a little bit, but it's the case of his name is George Smith the Fourth. So
okay.
Yeah. That's all I'm going to tell you. He was born on October 3rd, 1978. And we're just going to jump right ahead to when he got married on June 25th, 2005 to Jennifer Hagel in a, quote, cliffside ceremony in Newport, Rhode Island.
Nice.
So,
it's probably very picturesque.
From the road to Rhode Island. Family Guy. Yes. Yeah, it does sound nice. Cliffside ceremony. There's a picture from their wedding in the drive. There's a lot of... This one had a lot of good pictures to choose from because, well, they're going on a cruise.
Oh no. I saw bloodstains.
I mean... Just wait. So... Okay. So, Jennifer was 25 at this time, and George was 26. Jennifer was about to start teaching third grade, having just finished up her master's degree in education.
Nice. Good for her.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. And George was slated to take over his father's business, which was a liquor store he owned in, I heard Greenwich, Connecticut, but anyway, I'm never sure because I'm like, wait, isn't it Greenwich? in Greenwich Village, but that's in, I think, New York. So
yeah,
Greenwich, Connecticut. He was very close to his family. His dad, of course, George Smith III. His mom was Maureen, and he had a sister named Bree, which made me think of Outlander because she had red hair. There's a picture of the family on the drive, like Brianna. They headed off on their Eastern Mediterranean cruise for their honeymoon, which I was like, same.
Yeah, belated honeymoon on mine.
Right, because they had been married for like 3 months, I think you said, or something.
It's not too belated, like.
No. I know, some people never have a honeymoon at all. Some people never have a wedding. I'm fine.
I was gonna say, she's not salty.
I'm also just too broke for anything like that. And like, I don't know. I also am like, I get why people like, yeah, whatever. We had a kid when we started. We had enough making us broke when we first got together. We didn't need a wedding on top of that. But they boarded the Brilliance of the Seas, which was or is, I guess, a Royal Caribbean cruise line ship. And they set sail from Barcelona.
Cool.
So nice, yeah. I know. I was like, is that one of those ones where we say like Ibiza?
Barcelona.
Oh, sounds beautiful.
Yeah, just take me anywhere in Europe. Just like, I would love to go.
I tell you, I this itinerary sounds amazing. Like I said, didn't know which one to pick. I was like, almost like, a couple on these lists are from the same cruise line. Should I pick on that one just because it's like a kind of a cheaper cruise line? And I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. But yeah, this one, I thought something said a lot of young people were on the cruise, but I also read that it was one of their longest itineraries at about 2 weeks through the Mediterranean. So I was like, this is no like 4-day Caribbean cruise or whatever. Like, that's a lot cheaper than what this sounded like. But I don't know. I've never been on a cruise. So yeah, they really enjoyed the cruise. They of course made some like acquaintances and sort of friends on the trip. Like the one I first read about was this Josh Askins and his family, which they ran into in Florence, Italy, on an excursion from the ship, which was like a city tour.
Okay.
But so they were also on the cruise, but they met sort of on the tour.
But, they were also on the cruise?
They were from the cruise, yeah. It was like one of those excursions you can book like from the ship kind of thing. So through the cruise line, yeah. Cruise lines. You're in that department of the travel agency. You were making the money because the retirees, so they book the flights, they book this, balcony fucking stateroom, they book the excursions, they take the top travel insurance, they do it all. Yeah.
Give me their money.
And then COVID. I'm surprised people still want to travel after. Yeah, the way they talk about cruises on like Wine and Crine, and then during COVID, the way some of them ended up being like these quarantine zones almost. Like,
yeah, and then they were stuck on the boats. Like,
yeah, because someone would get it and they couldn't get off, so they're just like like almost being held prisoner or whatever. People sending them stuff. I remember this.
That's awful. Yeah.
Like with kids, you're stuck in those tiny little staterooms where you're not supposed to like. You're like, I'll just get a small hotel room. I'm not going to spend my time there. You know what I mean?
2 weeks quarantine. You're like, fucking.
I hate everything.
Oh.
Anyway, I do like the Modern Family one where they are like, something's happening with their house, so they all have to stay in this hotel room. And then Claire gets a separate hotel room and starts spending time in it. And there's like this whole big
and then all the kids start like going over there one by one till everybody's just in her room.
Yeah, because she's over there like, kids, I need more wine. Just like they're sleeping in the bathtub in the other room. Yeah. So on July 4th, George and Jennifer spent the day touring Mykonos, I think it is, in Greece. And his family said that, like, he loved Greece so much. It ended up being one of his favorite places on the trip. So
it always looks so beautiful when I see it.
Right? Crystal blue waters.
Yeah. Is that, like, if Mamma Mia taught me anything, it's like Greece is beautiful.
Everything I need to know about the Mediterranean I learned from Mamma Mia.
Yeah. Or like My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
I know, I want to go. I haven't been. It
always looks so nice. Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah, he really enjoyed it. And then they'd have like those formal dinners that they have on the ship. They always tell you to like bring an extra, like a dressier outfit or whatever. So you go to the, the formal nights and have dinner. And they would have dinner that night with another couple they met on the cruise, this Paul and Galina Kvitniski. It's a tough one. Vitniski? It starts with KV, okay?
Yeah, it's a hard one to do.
Yeah. My mouth won't do it. They had been really getting along with these guys, though, for the whole trip. So they were one of the ones they would hang out with. And these Kvitniskis were also on their honeymoon. And they said the Smiths were just normal and easy to talk to. And then that night, after toasting to their future, they, after the dinner at midnight, they went to hit up the casino. And then CCTV footage captured them both on camera that night. They were seen to be gambling and hanging out with Josh Askins, their friend that they had met. And he was also teaching Josh how to play craps, which my Google tried to correct as, do you mean craps? Are you sure you don't mean singular? I'm like, yes, I mean craps.
Like I give a craps.
I always think, I remember asking my mom, because there's this Paul Simon song, oh my god, where it's like, he goes like, 4 a.m. is the lyrics, crapped out, yawning, and I'm always like, crapped out? What is he talking about? She's like, it's a game. I'm like, oh, okay. I still don't know how to play it, but someday. I can play crib.
Okay. My parents are going to teach me how to play crib. They have a couple cribbage boards, so.
If we ever go back to Vegas, maybe we'll gamble. Who knows? When we're rich and famous. One day when they're doing a show. What?
I tried. I'm terrible at it. Every time I lose money, it seems like the person beside me wins exactly what I just lost.
Oh, so, no.
I feel like my money is just, might as well just hand them my money as soon as I sit down and be like, here, this is for you.
Yes, that reminds me of that Friends episode where Phoebe's got a lurker. Yes. Oh, yeah. Anyway, okay. So, yeah, teaching them to play craps. Everyone's kind of drinking heavily. I mean, they're all in their 20s. They're on a cruise. One might do this. Jennifer, though, was less interested in the gambling. So, yeah, she's there at the casino, but like I think she's just more drinking, partying, and also more interested in the attention she was getting from a male staff member named Lloyd Boda.
Yeah.
He was
on your honeymoon. That was quick.
Allegedly. Okay. Which makes me feel like Letterkenny. Allegedly.
Allegedly fucked an ostrich.
An ostrich, I know. God, they say that almost that entire one episode. Allegedly. Yeah. But if it clears our names.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy was what was called I don't know if it's a croupier or a croupier, because it's got that kind of French spelling. Yeah, I guess it's like a dealer of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's definitely he's a cruise ship employee. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if that means they were like flirting or dancing or what, but other witnesses would kind of corroborate this point, saying that he was maybe less than professional.
Just trying to get them extra tips. Leave them alone.
I mean, this is something I feel like I've heard about cruise ships. Just because it's not Oh, yeah. I think at one point I had in my notes something about the international law, because it's like when you're on the cruise ship out, just because you're not in port doesn't mean you're necessarily like it's total outlaws. Like, oh, it's international waters, like anything goes, like that episode of The Simpsons. But it's more like it's the jurisdiction falls to usually the home port of where the cruise ship is from if you're out at sea when crime happens. This is my understanding anyway. And then if you're closer to port, then it falls under the jurisdiction of the port that you're closest to. So it's not like it's, no man's land. Lawless water world. So
the wild west.
The casino was closing at 2:30, so the party had to move elsewhere regardless. So George, Jennifer, Lloyd, who was the dealer, Josh, their other friend, and his three buddies, Zach, Greg, and Rusty, went to the disco.
At 2:30 in the morning.
The party never stops.
So late.
I know. This makes it seem like a fucking, I don't know, college spring break free-for-all sometimes.
Yeah, are they playing fucking beer pong? Like,
oh my, I remember in like travel agent school, or you know what I mean, like the university program I went to, they were like playing up how like you can just eat everywhere on the cruise ship. Like you go and there's a soft serve ice cream machine, then you walk over and then there's like, like crepes, and then there's like a hamburger stand. Like he's just apparently you can just drink everywhere too.
Best.
I mean, that part sounds pretty appealing, yes.
Yes. Ugh, that sounds amazing.
But being out at sea on something that, as many people point out, if you wanted to get off of it, you really can't.
Yeah.
In a way, that's maybe like the plane thing to me, because you're all in it together.
Yeah, it's out of your control. My mom doesn't really like boats like that. Like she's fine on like little boats, but she could never, you couldn't get her on a cruise. Like
yeah. The only one Pat seems to want to do is a river cruise. So I think it's the ocean thing.
Yeah.
So allegedly they were not even satisfied with all the onboard alcohol available, and they decided to imbibe some of the illicit, I guess it's called in French, because I wanted to get all fancy, La Fille Verte, or the Green Fairy, as we might also know it as, or absinthe.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? The Green Fairy.
Yes, I've heard it called the Green Fairy. But yes, it's a green, apparently it's not a liqueur, but known as a spirit, because apparently a liqueur has sugar added into it. I was like, But spirits, liqueurs, those are those like distilled one versus like you got your fermented, which is your beer, your wine, your mead.
Yeah.
The more you know. So George and Jennifer had an argument about this alleged flirting, and apparently it culminated in her kicking him in the groin and storming off. It's going well.
Fair enough.
Oh no. So that aforementioned Lloyd Bota person went after her, the dealer, the guy, the croupier.
Yeah.
While the other guys tried to calm George down at the table. So they're separated.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently they took George back to his room at this point, but when he saw that Jennifer was not yet there, he wanted to leave to look for her. Kind of, this is according to the, not necessarily various sources, but at least the Reddit write-up and, like, supposedly the guy's interviews after the fact of what happened this evening. It's a reconstruction. Oh, okay. I mean, we have only people's words to go on.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But there was a neighbor, Cleet Hyman, who was like their next door neighbor in the stateroom next to the Smiths, and he said that he heard a racket around 3 a.m. So he even made a noise complaint at that time, because he was like, it sounded like they were like playing a card game or doing shots or something raucous was going on.
They are causing a damn ruckus.
Yes, and like, when
how
you're
dare
in the
you
hotel
have
room,
fun?
it can be so paper thin though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he was like, "Get off my lawn."
I'm shaking my damn fisty tip.
And apparently shortly after, he says he saw 3 men leaving the room, but couldn't identify them. So,
okay.
It's odd because, like, if it was everybody except George of the guys that were there still should have been 4 guys. Yeah. Josh, Greg, Zach, and Rusty. And this neighbor, Hyman, said that although he tried to go right back to sleep, he was then disturbed again once he heard a heavy thump from the room next to his. And after that, he heard nothing for the rest of the night. So, yeah. Jennifer has little to no recollection, unfortunately, of the rest of the evening / getting to her room, as she was found just passed out in an alcove of a hallway, sort of random spot. I know.
Not to be mean, but classy.
Oh, I wonder, it's like that Below Deck show or whatever, where it's like I think it's the cruise on those fancy rich people yachts, because it's like what the crew has to deal with and then what they get up to, and I'm like, imagine what these cruise ships people have seen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, people would be like, oh, it's good money, but like, it's a lot.
Yeah, people are just inebriated, seasick. They hate each other.
Like, one thing said they had to use a wheelchair to get her back to her room.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I shouldn't judge. I've passed out. I mean, I've been drunk. Like, now I do it in the privacy of my own home, where I usually just pass out on my own couch. But yeah.
One time at one of my friends' parties, it was her going away one for when she was going to college. I got super drunk and very quickly. It was like crazy, very quickly.
Nice.
And my friends ended up on the bathroom of her floor. Like, the floor of her bathroom was really, really big, so they ended up making me a fucking bed because I kept throwing up. So they
oh no,
I kid you not, they
nights.
brought blankets, they brought pillows, so they put blankets down and then rolled me into it and then put blankets on top of me, and then I had
you're on your side.
yeah, I was on my side with my back against the wall, so I couldn't roll over. And they kept coming in to check on me, so I'd wake up and they'd be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine," and then I'd just pass out again.
Honestly,
projectile vomiting.
That's the best place for you at that point, probably. I feel like most of us have maybe been there.
Yeah, it just sucks because I don't know, I didn't realize just how quickly I was drinking, so it was a very early night. I was at that level by 11:30, and I think people were partying for another 4 hours, which was kind of shitty. So I missed 90% of the party because I was asleep in the bathroom.
I can easily just be, for me, is you didn't eat enough, or you just mix too many things, or say what is it?
Because I get tired of the taste of a certain drink, so I mix, and then my friends kept making drinks for me, and then I had 2 different types of drinks, and
boom.
Yeah.
Especially you go say from beer or something to a mixed drink or anything with hard stuff. It can just be bam.
Yeah, I was drinking vodka and then rum and
oh boy
stuff. So yeah,
you made your own Long Island iced tea right in your stomach.
Yeah, because I don't really like beer, so everything else I drink is at least 5 to 10% normally. So
I do like a good pint of beer when I go to the pub sometimes, though. But yeah, it's not gonna you're usually eating too. It's not gonna get you that drunk. Get you tipsy.
No, this I think I had I had like 4 or 5 of my drinks that were like I really like the Jack Daniels. Is it Down Home Punch? That like
sounds
fruit punch
familiar.
one. I like that one. I think I had 4 or 5 of those, and then I had like a huge drink that was like super strong.
I won't drink
and
Jack
I had like
Daniels anymore.
an entire one of those, and then I was just like,
one Christmas time apparently it turned me into a monster, and I was dating. I was gonna tell you because your last case, his last name was Bennett, and one of my ex's last names was Bennett. And I apparently like just started ripping into him and his sister, who I was very fond of. But like just the whiskey just turned me into a fucking devil. And I won't drink Jack anymore, but once I did mix it with Kool-Aid. So when you said the Jack Daniels fruit punch, I was like, wait, does that taste like Jack Daniels and Kool-Aid? Because never again. I'm better now.
No, that would just taste like juice. It just tastes like alcoholic juice. It's so bad. That's how I drank like 5 of them in an hour. Like I was so drunk. I think I was at the party for 2 hours and consumed like 9 drinks in 2 hours.
We're so lucky we're like, not in our early 20s anymore, and now they make like nice ciders and other fancy things we can drink that aren't just like freaking Smirnoff Ice and things to get you white girl wasted.
But I don't know, I have this thing, I tend to just, every few minutes, I'll, like, take a whole mouthful, and then my drink is gone in, like, 10 minutes, so...
Yeah!
Like, I just...
Wait, doesn't everybody drink like that? No.
But no, like, compared to my friends, when we used to go out for my birthday or anything, I'd end up ordering 2 drinks for every one that they ordered, because I could drink 2 or 3 drinks in the time it would take them to drink 1.
Oh, they're just, like, nursing it. Yeah.
And I, like, couldn't stand it, so, yeah. It's, like, it drove me crazy.
I can relate. Yeah. I mean, I can drink like a fish. I have to make sure nowadays it's like, okay, you can drink like a fish, but doesn't mean you can drink like a fish. Like you can't drink wine when you're recording or anything like that. Because that just gets too messy.
Wine,
I have to put my
gets
limitations
me immediately. Yeah, for some reason, wine gets me immediately.
I mean, it can taste just as good as a cooler, but it can be twice as strong easily.
Yeah.
Or 3 times if you get like a 14% or so. Yeah.
Yeah, the coolers and stuff I normally drink, I think, are at 5% most of them.
Yeah, it's not like that much crazier than the US. They always used to say ours was so much stronger, but most beers and shit's like 5.
Yeah.
Where the hell was I?
Wheelchair.
Oh my god. Yes, because that's what I heard on one thing, that they had to use a wheelchair to get her back, to pour her back into her stateroom.
Wow.
But yeah, I shouldn't be so mean. I don't know. Like I said, yeah, we've been there. So
yep.
Apparently she was put back somewhere between 4:30-ish, 5 a.m.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
She was gone for a long time.
Yeah, I think I have later that we might not know exactly, between like 3 and 4:30, an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. There's a lot of questions with this, unfortunately. And at 7 a.m. on July 5th, so this is that morning, the long evening,
Yeah. Like still the same day.
Yeah. They've been out since like midnight on this day.
Yeah.
A passenger was out taking pictures of the sunrise, and she noticed something odd outside their room. And this, unfortunately, was something she was able to take a photo of, which was a large blood stain that was on a metal canopy on a lower, like, deck area. I believe maybe the canopy of a lifeboat, possibly.
Oh, okay. That's what the picture is.
That's what there's a picture of. Or maybe 2 pictures, because one picture, it made it, the perspective seemed different, so I was like, wow, it looks a lot bigger in this one. There might just be one called Stain or something. But it was apparently quite large. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they knew that, people figured something terrible must have happened between Greece and Turkey. And just didn't know what it was yet. But some unspecified time for most sources. One source said it was about 8 a.m., but I'm not 100% sure. But apparently Jennifer woke up. I'm not sure how at that point, if she was that drunk. She woke up so early and so
probably
fast.
To vomit into a toilet and then got interrupted. I mean, that's what I'd be doing.
Me being like, I'm never gonna drink on a weeknight ever again. Yeah. Damn recordings. No. It's Friday, don't worry guys. It's Friday. Yeah, so they I don't know if I said that. Yeah, they put her in a room, but they did not see George. They didn't notice George at that time. I don't know if I said that, but so 7:30 a.m. the next day, the photo is taken of a bloodstain on a canopy, somewhere kind of below the couple's balcony area. So not great.
No.
Yeah. Jennifer had woken up alone and made her way to the spa for a massage. But before she could finish, I'm trying to be so unbiased. I'm sorry.
But like her husband's missing.
I know. She didn't see him, but also I don't know. Things just said that apparently it had been such a partying type cruise that it wouldn't have been the first time he might have slept over at someone else's cabin.
Oh, okay.
She apparently
so maybe
wasn't
after
worried.
The argument, she thought
that's what she said.
Cool off. Okay.
Yeah, she said she figured he stayed somewhere else. But before she could finish her massage, she was paged over the intercom to report to the ship's staff and was told that George was likely missing and couldn't be located. Just rough. So yeah. Turkish police, when they made it to Turkey, which was the next port of call, the police boarded and then questioned the 4 men last seen with him. But I also read that they didn't secure the boat, so people were also allowed to disembark at this port. So that's also not great for an investigation.
Oh. Yeah.
Which is like, I think they just don't know how to deal with this shit sometimes. And they don't want to alarm the whole crew and passengers. I don't know.
Sorry, somebody's missing and may have been murdered. Please stay.
Literally. And now I'm getting vibes of that frickin' time when they had in WWE that a wrestler died getting one of the Hart brothers. He's getting what is it, piloted, dropped into the ring on a rope thing, whatever that is. I don't know. And something happened and he literally fell to his death, and they literally just were like, well, we're still here to do the show and let's do the matches and the show must go on and all that. And you're like, really?
Yeah.
Dude just died. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'd be having fun anymore.
No.
Yeah, it was. So they were questioning the men last seen with him, which was Josh Askins, who he mentioned, and then the other friends of his and George's, because he'd been hanging out with them previous on the trip, I guess. A guy named Rusty Kaufman and Greg Rosenberg and Zach Rosenberg, who were cousins. We do know that these last 3 were Russian-American citizens, men living in Brooklyn, New York. So they said they had partied with George the night before, yes, but after returning him to his room, where Josh used the washroom, they then went back to one of their staterooms to continue, because apparently he was too drunk or something.
Yeah.
As if they weren't drunk at this point. I don't know. It's it's so late. Then they said they just ordered a bunch of room service and went to bed. And they said they had left George safe and sound, even taking off his shoes for him before laying him on his bed. So they're questioning Jennifer, Josh, and those 3 men also. And then they inspect the room, and the ship's captain apparently was quite quick to assure people that this was most likely an accident. I don't know. Again, yeah, probably for PR reasons. But they had seen there was a chair pushed up against the balcony in George's room, kind of facing the balcony door. And then there was this incident report, which there was a picture of, but I don't think I included a picture of that or the chair. But it said, like, this is something like the captain or someone wrote up, and it just said, after the investigations, we assume he was sitting on the rail of his balcony cabin. Probably lost his balance and fell overboard. Probably under the influence of alcohol. And that's all it said.
Very thorough.
I mean,
would that line up with the giant blood patch that was found?
Kelsey, things I was looking at told me that they were washing it off within 2 hours of it being found. And like it wasn't even tested. Because I was like, did they ever find out if it was even his blood? Like, I need to know.
Yeah.
And they just like were like, mop it up. I have a hunch.
Oh my god.
And I hate it. Yeah, crazy. Some people said that it looked like there was handprints in the blood. Also, something I read said a bloody handprint was found on a railing near the bloodstain. So it really does make you think that like it's possible that it could have been from him, a body being overboard and then trying to get back up. Like, just horrific. I don't know, and that's why I've tried to find the both pictures, because the first picture I saw, it looked quite small, and then when I was reading the Reddit thread, somebody was like, oh, that's like a man-sized print. And so I looked at the picture they included, and it was a little bit more of a close-up. But you don't really have anything like to reference the size, I find, in either of the pictures, so it's difficult to see, but I mean, it's not small.
No.
It's pretty big either way, I don't know. So an FBI investigator was assigned or put on this case, I guess. And the family also hired an attorney. But Jennifer, pretty quickly after like a day being there, flew back home to the U.S. And that was while George's parents, the Smiths, were still flying to Europe, to like help look for their son or do whatever they could, put out flyers, whatever.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, so it didn't look great. And the parents didn't love that. The FBI investigator, okay, that was Mike Jones. Or he's either the investigator or the attorney. I just wrote his name so many times now. This one just says Mike Jones. But he said he learned of the existence of a videotape during his investigation that allegedly contained potentially damaging statements by the men in question who were last seen with George. They were heard talking, quote, callously about George's death, and even ending the video with like a bunch of gang signs, and then Greg Rosenberg saying, I told you I was gangsta. So,
oh my god. What a loser.
Just, yeah, and I guess they were being like, I don't know, something like he just flew over the railing, just like really suspicious weird. And very shitty stuff. Oh yeah, there was a further quote kind of explaining they passed a video camera around, filming themselves commenting about George's death in a very callous way. Jones told 48 Hours. But the really incriminating statement is one of them stands up at the end of the tape and sort of hunches his shoulders and flashes gang signs and says, told you I was gangster. And in the context of the discussion about George's death, almost as if he's bragging about having done something to George. End quote. Which, if there is a tape, the FBI claims to have this tape. But yeah, right away, like nothing seems to be adding up. Jennifer's kind of whereabouts from like 3 to 4:30. Although police later said they checked her out and they were convinced of her alibi. But it's not been really made public if she was, with that other guy at the time or what.
You think, like, do they not have... You said they have CCTV, like, inside the casino, but they don't have anything outside?
Yes.
They don't have anything outside anywhere?
I read there was nothing really there's not really anything in the hallways usually. Okay. But then at least one source I have here about, like, times where different key cards were logged, which I was like, yeah, they should have more evidence like that of, where their employees are, or, like, when people come into the room and stuff. But yeah, I think it's one of those where, like, not allowed them in the bathroom, so it didn't seem like they really had them in the hallways. So you couldn't see who was coming and going from their room, per se, other than the witness. The one witness.
Yeah, you think a cruise ship filled with 1,000 strangers would be the perfect place to have a shit ton of cameras in the public areas.
Yeah, like, at first it seems like the worst place to try and get away with anything.
Yeah, it should be. It really should be the worst place.
Yeah, many witnesses, you're in an enclosed space until you get to a port, like...
Limited suspects.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Okay, so one thing said a key card confirmed that their room was entered at 4:02, so most people say that's... okay, lines up with when they supposedly brought George back, then put him to bed. Then another one thing called it an ear witness that came forward.
Because they heard something.
Yeah, like, it was a neighbor who was named Carlos Manchaca, I guess, in room 9066, who was 2 doors down, who was apparently woken up by loud noises, sounds of an argument, and then what sounded like either something heavy, like furniture, or a person hitting the floor or the walls.
Oh.
Yeah. So there was, like, at least 1 or 2 sources that heard a ruckus. I know the first guy said, like, a card game or something, but then now we've got at least one person hearing, like, a fight. So there's just a lot going on. Oh, put my other headphone in, because this one... when my headphones start to die, they say, please charging.
Please charging.
I know. What? It's a Swedish company. But please, yeah, it's either...
do with the charging.
It's either please charging or please charge me. I could be mishearing it. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I wasn't expecting it, though.
Mine just goes, low battery. And then it'll keep playing, and then it'll just be like, low battery.
Oh, I like it when things are polite. Please charging. Or the motor vehicle system, when you don't put enough money in, you're like, more money, please. It basically says. Amounts doesn't match. Okay, almost done. According to at least one source, Lloyd's, the employee, the dealer guy, his key card showed him leaving the club much earlier than Jennifer, so it's really hard to tell if he was with her during the time she was after the disco, the missing time. But, I mean, some theories are that, like, she was with him during that time, and that, maybe she was too drunk to be, like, consensual, and so that's why it's kind of been, like, hush-hush of, like, oh, she has an alibi, but we don't really want to say what it is. I don't know. It's really weird.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because they were the ones that were supposedly flirting, so... Also, the room service order record was never able to be found, although I think they were able to confirm that calls were made from the stateroom that the guys retired to after they left George's room. So, kind of unconfirmed. Not like ordering room service is an alibi anyway, but,
Yeah.
It's just like...
Or that it takes 4 of you to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes 4 of us to order food.
I know, and any witness, like the neighbor, said that he saw 3 people leave the room at the first place. So there still would have been one of the guys left back. Yeah, there was just a lot going on. Another inconsistency or something weird was that the bloodstain looked like it had handprints kind of in and around it, which I might have mentioned. According to also the 16-year-old who photographed it, by the way. That's who was getting up to look at the sunrise. Poor girl.
Yeah, Jesus.
Poor teen. Sadly, on CBS News, they said that the FBI closed the investigation in 2015. Quote, "We were told by the Connecticut FBI that there was not enough to prove George had been murdered and that his death may have been the result of an accident," end quote. That was from the family. So they are understandably outraged and disgusted by this, and they plan to move the case to another jurisdiction. It said like maybe New York, which I'm guessing is probably because that's where the men were from. They're from Brooklyn, so I'm not sure.
But I mean, honestly, what else? Like, what other investigation route can you take? Like, it kind of, at this point, it's sad, but it is what it is. And
yeah,
if you have, you can't directly say they were involved or it wasn't just an accident. So you can't really just like charge 4 people with a apparent accident.
It's true, yeah. Because if the initial investigation had been done a little better, maybe we'd have something else to say, yeah. But his mom, Maureen, did say, "I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that my son was murdered on that cruise ship." So in the Smiths family's Facebook post, they expressed anger that their son's belongings from the boat, which they say may hold forensic value, are now going to be returned to Jennifer, their former daughter-in-law, who has since remarried. This is a quote. "I've been told not to call a cruise ship a boat." They drilled that in our heads in travel school. No? A boat can fit on a ship can't fit on a boat. The evidence will be given to a woman whose whereabouts are unknown when George was thrown overboard, and who has done everything in her power to stop us from finding out what happened to George on July 5th, 2005, the Post reads. So, apparently Jennifer became kind of difficult and distant during the investigation, which the family was openly critical about.
Yeah.
Flew back early and
your honeymoon. Doesn't sound great.
No, I don't know. It seems like you should have been there longer fighting for it, trying to find out what happened. And there's just like weird stuff how they said that she was like upset because they had used a cropped photo of him that was from a photo of him and Tara Reid and not a photo of him and her together. So she was like mad.
Wow.
London's Daily Mail, I should say, quote, "London's Daily Mail says that the FBI's Russian mafia team is involved in an investigation focused on 4 young men, including 3 Russian Americans from Brooklyn, New York, to determine if they were involved in the case." I don't know. But his body also has never been found, much like your case, sadly.
Yeah.
And the trip was known to have traveled, I think it said 200 miles the night he would have disappeared. So it's just like almost no way.
Yeah. It's really impossible, I think, to recover people.
Yeah, unfortunately. Later, Smith's wife settled out of court with the cruise line for $1.1 million. Smith's parents later sought to have his wife's settlement overturned. This is part of that quote. "As part of that action, the original settlement was increased to $1.3 million. The parents and his wife are now splitting the funds, and Royal Caribbean agreed to release certain documents. That's what has apparently triggered the additional investigation," end quote. So that was an interesting note too, that there was a settlement and that as part of the agreement now certain documents are available. I thought that was interesting, but I'm not sure what that means or what they found out. But there's a few more interesting points to the story. On top of all that, what happened on the night of July 6th, which was not the night George disappeared, but the next night. So this is what got those guys on the boat into more trouble.
Lovely.
The suspected criminals. Apparently an 18-year-old passenger from Georgia went back to her room to find her 18-year-old roommate crying about what she said had been like trigger warning, a rape, and that she'd been videotaped at the same time.
Jesus.
Right? I mean, I was not expecting that in my research, but when she was asked who she thought did this, like, you may have guessed it. It was those Brooklyn boys. And it was reported to the ship officially on July 8th, so a couple days later. And so then at the next port that they were at, they were actually kicked off. So the cruise ship.
That's it?
I read that, like, I thought it said the Italian police were the one to review any videotape that might have been found. There's a lot of fucking, like, supposed videotapes in this one. I don't know.
So at least maybe they were taken into custody.
I just read that there wasn't enough they didn't have the authority or enough evidence to charge them, but they had enough to kick them off the boat, which I thought was pretty fucking crazy. After, like, literally, this is after a disappearance on a cruise. Like, it was like 2 days later. Like, I just don't get it.
That is a little bizarre. Maybe they couldn't find the tape and that's why they couldn't charge them, but they're like, well, she still said it was you, so we'll kick you off.
Right, like how the other tape. Yeah, and in the other tape they didn't admit to killing George, but it was like heavily implied, so it's like, there's like just not enough, maybe. It's so frustrating. But yeah, I had to include that because I was like, well, if that's true, that's crazy. And I don't want to confuse you, but also one source that there was a possible third video that showed, like, Jennifer with another man or something kind of incriminating on her that people believe might be maybe some of what caused some of their issues. I don't know. I was like, there was a Reddit rabbit hole to China on this one if I wanted to go into it, maybe. But actually, that was a pretty good source because they had a nice write-up on, as I was telling you, unresolved mysteries. So I was like, yeah, mine's not really solved. But the theories actually include, I mean, we could probably guess, like, accident, like the cruise line would like to suggest. But some sources even contemplated that it could have been suicide, and then obviously murder or foul play. And I would say a combination of one or two of those.
Yeah.
Like, some had the theory that he was the target of theft, that, like, maybe the guys, they're kind of friends with him from the cruise, but also he was known to wear, like, this nice watch. I have it written down some here, but not a Rolex, but something fancy, worth a lot. A Breitling watch? I don't know. I literally don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but, like, some allege that maybe there was a struggle, like, where we'll put him to bed and he's so passed out that we'll try to grab his watch, but then maybe he woke up and then there was a struggle because, did I mention there was, like, a few drops of blood in the room, like on the bed sheets or whatever?
Oh, no.
Okay, because in the room, there wasn't a ton of blood, but there was, like, a couple of drops or something. So it was, like, a little weird.
Yeah. That would be weird if it was an accident or somebody was going to commit suicide. I wouldn't suspect the blood would start in the room.
Yeah, I wonder if they would have maybe panicked if they were caught robbing him. The whole blood stain, it's, it really doesn't seem consistent with someone just falling off a thing. And that's what I think they said they brought on that Henry Lee guy who's like a blood spatter expert or whatever, because like you just fall over, it doesn't mean like I was like, when you spontaneously start bleeding from like everywhere, don't you have to be like 2 like stories before you actually die from a fall? Like, it's a lot of blood if you look at like the close up. But
yeah, it almost looks like I don't know, like if somebody was almost like forcing him, like they were holding him down or something, and he was like moving around, because it's got like a smeary kind of like draggy pattern to it. And then if they as a group like managed to push him over the edge, you know, you can't get back on the boat, you're kind of shit, you're gonna drown. Like,
yeah. And this was at this like kind of inaccessible canopy like below his balcony, so it would seem like you would have to be bleeding before you went over, otherwise you would just maybe hit your head or one point and blood would start from there, but you wouldn't like leave this whole like bloody print, you know.
Yeah, like a splat.
Yeah, unless you were bleeding beforehand or something.
Yeah.
Ugh, just awful. But what else? Well, there's not a lot more. So afterwards, Jennifer went back to her maiden name eventually. She would go on to start working for the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, and later moved to Fairfield to work with Near and Far Aid, a nonprofit that works with the homeless. Yeah. I mean, you can't seem to fault her for her like career choices. Either she was working in learning about education or working in medicine. So I'm like, I just don't even know what to think about her.
Yeah, I mean, that's good.
It does seem good on the surface. Yeah. It's known that in 2009 she remarried to a Jeff Agnew, a financial advisor for global healthcare equities for Pinebridge Investments, and they now have 3 kids together. So yeah, I'll try not to judge. Of course, I did the math. I'm like, okay, it's like 4 years after, but like whatever. She moved on. I don't know. And then slight plot twist. One of the suspects, Greg Rosenberg, one of the cousins, is also dead now. He was killed in 2020, the year which shall not be named. So that was 15 years after the fatal cruise, and he was literally murdered in cold blood at his home, either in the doorstep or on the driveway. I saw different things. Yeah.
He pissed off the wrong people?
No, people said it was a hit. Yeah. Like, he had got home from Christmas shopping and was like just like shot point blank like 5 times.
Wow.
Like, what? And all I really know about that, they said that the police in the area, which was Davie, Broward County in Florida, said that in September 2020, I wrote 2022, 20, too many zeros. Said in September 2020, they hope one investigation will shed light on the other. So they don't know who killed either of them yet. That is my case. Sorry.
Weird.
No,
that's crazy. Like,
I know. It's, it seems like solvable, but yet.
Yeah, because it's not one of the ones where somebody just disappears, like, like mine, like without a trace kind of thing. Like there's a whole bunch of blood. There's blood in the room.
Like known last people who are with them.
Yeah, you have suspects that were involved in like other crimes around that time.
Yeah.
Like,
that was a weird layer I was not expecting.
Yeah.
Because I have heard ones where like people go mysteriously missing, and like, oftentimes, or at least 1 or 2 I've heard. I think one was Amy Lynn Bradley was one that disappeared on a cruise ship near Curacao. where my mom has been. But like, and they go missing, and then like they're like, oh, looking at the cruise line employees that were there at the dance that night, or then often like sex trafficking and stuff like that is suspected because it's a female and it's, you know, I don't know, a foreign country, whatever. But yeah, this one is just like, there's not a lot of cases where it's a guy that goes missing, and I don't know, this is a healthy, like real big guy, and like, you know what I mean? It's just, you get drunk, you can get vulnerable, and unfortunately, yeah, you can get preyed upon just as easily, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You have to be careful who you party with when you're on a cruise.
Right. I think we've all probably partied with people where we went, oh shit, that was probably a bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm home. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it's one of those where I just wish I knew, and I'm sure the family fucking just wants justice, and just sucks, but yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. We'll have to do some more of these because they're just so crazy.
Yeah, there's another one that's watched a Netflix documentary about. It wasn't at international waters though. It was in like in a bay, like a submersible that was like in a bay, and like some pretty fucked up shit happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Because I thought about doing that one, then when I re-looked it up, I was like, oh, that wasn't in international waters. It was like in a little like bay. Like they were only like a certain distance from the shore. I was like, oh.
The amount that I came across, I was like, man, we could do cruise ships crimes again. We could do maritime mysteries. I'm like, man, it feels like we could have a whole podcast on mysteries around the sea and shit sometimes, and boats.
Yeah.
Oh God. Well, anyway, we hope you guys have a good week, month. August.
You miss us a whole bunch, you can join our Patreon and get access to all of our back catalog of monthly bonus episodes.
That's such a good point. Did you guys know we had a Patreon? We do.
Donate so we can go on a cruise.
Oh no! What is that? What do they go on The Office? A dinner cruise or whatever? That sounds nice. You come back by the end of the day. Oh no, it's a booze cruise they're on. But same idea.
I've been on a couple like day cruise kind of things.
Oh, cool.
Gordo says, have a good day.
I'm just going to shake directly into the mic.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll miss you, Gordo. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll be back recording soon so I can see all your El Gordo shenanigans.
Just bit me.
Oh my God. It wouldn't be an episode if he didn't act like an asshole at another time. Oh. Now you're getting the paw of death.
Yeah, he's trying to hit me.
They're staring each other down, you guys. I don't know. I need to intervene. All right, I will let you go. Have a good night.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, to our cryptic cuties. Keep it cryptic, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, Gordo butt.
I had to let Gordo finish jumping down.
I mean, we just don't know what he's going to do next. It's probably best that you embrace yourself.
Just walks in front of me and then just bites my arm and tries to hit me in the face.
Oh. Fenrir hasn't done his little love nibbles in a while. I like his little, it's not really a bite, it's more like a ning, 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 ning on your skin.
No,
just a little
Gordo, nibble. It like fucking hurts. Like I can see the red marks already from it.
I remember when he was attacking your ankles, and I was like, that dude is vicious.
Yeah, I have scars on my ankles from...
Oh my god.
I had a huge cut that went from all the way across the top of my foot to, like, my toes, from one side to the other, probably, like, 5 or 6 inches long. And it like, scabbed over the course of a couple weeks, and then, like, went into a scar. And it was him attacking my feet one time.
Like, oh my god. And I'll get like I don't know if it's cat scratch fever, but you know what I mean? Like they get kind of puffy. Like if I get a cat scratch, I get like, it gets a little puffy on me, and I think most people do. It's like something in their claws and like their paws, the bacteria and stuff like that can do it. Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know if it was like allergies. Like I'm not super allergic, but dander and stuff, I can't like put a cat up to my face and rub it. I'll be like, ah! You know.
Yeah. This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Cobia Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.